ownership, piped dream or reality? Hi, I'm JANELLA PRECIUS. Here at the Anoto Bay Cemetery in St. Mary, tombstones are replaced by replicas of mansions. Some of the stories behind them are fascinating, but for the most part, they represent a dream hoped for, which was never actualized. Now, of course, the cost to build one of these pales in comparison to the actual cost of buying property.
So, what do you do when it's out of reach? For over 900,000 Jamaicans,
they have opted to squat, even though it comes with deadly consequences.
Grief, agony, despair. January 3, 2021, Romeo Leachman and his 15-year-old daughter, Sanique, were laid to rest some meters away from where they died tragically in Shooters Hill, St. Andrew. Their bodies were found a day apart after their house collapsed during a bout of heavy rainfall in October 2020. In the spot, a few personal items dug from the rubble placed in a heap. The empty space now sandwiched between a house precariously perched on the edge of a hill and another below. Beverly Binns is the deceased man's mother.
Next door, where my daughter lived, and come through the door, the first thing my eye turned to my son. Lan, where his house was. It's grieved my heart. It burned my belly. I can't describe the feelings. That is the only two things I could describe. The rest is beyond describe. It is undescribable. If there were adequate housing, my granddaughter and my son would still be alive today, because they wouldn't have to be on the hillside. They would still be alive.
Adequate housing, the cry of many Jamaicans. Add affordable to the equation.
No, I don't think I could be able to buy a house.
Informal settlements like Shooters Hill comprise of minimum wage earners. Some residents say they earn below that at times, doing random and infrequent odd jobs.
My pay that I get is only $17,000. And when they draw tax and all that, I only get something like $12,000 or $13,000. And then I have kids going to school and all stuff. So I think I couldn't even afford part of it.
She also has to support her mother, who is now out of a job. Beverly Binns now takes us back to that fateful day in October when she lost her son, granddaughter, and her only source of income.
When I were coming in the rain on the 23rd of October, the water was at my waist, coming up Shooters Hill with 12 screws on my foot, 2 pieces of iron in my foot, and I was still coming. At the moment, the little work what I was going to, and that same Friday, I lose it because of this.
Then there are the self-employed whose earnings fluctuate due to various circumstances. The COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, has caused many to hit rock bottom, unable to benefit from loans from the National Housing Trust, and with no collateral to borrow from other lending institutions. The people say they risk it all to keep a roof over their head. And it's not just life, but pride as well, because the living conditions in many cases are dismal. The October 2020 rains exposed the dangers of living in this squatting community, which had been home to many for decades. But now the land in some sections is uninhabitable. Rosemary Leachman is among the few residents who've opted to stay because she has nowhere else to go. She shares this wooden structure with her 3 children. We also met Salome Millwood. Unlike Miss Leachman, she was leaving.
As the rain start fall, then if me even up here, I try to make my way off a hill.
Hers was a 3-bedroom house with 2 finished bathrooms, 2 unfinished bedrooms, a kitchen area, and a spare room. The structure also came with a view.
Nice sea breeze. I sit down, I look out. Trust me, all when ships out at sea at night time. Pretty. We just don't have money to buy land, so we just build. And it's 1 room I start from until I reach where you see I am at now. 1 room, through partner, build, sell Guinea every little thing. And I work. So we just take time and build up because I want to be comfortable.
As she took us through the rooms, she reflected on how Shooters Hill became her home.
So I started with just this 1 room. 1 room. And me and the kids live in this 1 room with the 1 little bathroom and a little beanie space here that used right in front of the bathroom here. So this was my kitchen. With the little stove, 1 little table. So anybody wants to go to the bathroom, I say, hello, who have a bathroom? When I come, I go cook.
We wanted to know how much she paid for the extension.
Couple millions, well. I can't even estimate this, just me. A millions this. You see how I meet up on the hill, you pay what amount of money I spend for the material come up here. Trust me, you could have built this all over again. So, trust me, a millions may I lose right there, so.
But you're laughing, but it doesn't mean that you...
No, it's no joke, but trust me, it don't make sense. I stress over this, and then when you look, you see my mother and you hear, Lord Jesus, our house mash up and look, you know she mad. That doesn't make any sense.
With the hills crumbling, another informal settlement is on the horizon below.
If I'm up, summer is up. Don't see the situation we're now, and also we must take peace. Yeah, so.
Godfrey Morgan also lost his house during the October rains.
Just to see if I can make one cousin course going, because I don't live nowhere. Because right now I'm school, man.
Lorenzo Chandler was far advanced in erecting his structure using material from his collapsed house on the hill. He was able to build the foundation in quick time.
I don't feel no way still, because I give thanks to life. So it might me just in the surrounding at the time where this have to do something. So the greatest things, I save my things that I have in the house. I don't lose none of them. I have my clothes and my shoes, them bash you outside way if I want and thing. But I just that you know see how material art will come. And whether the rich man or the poor man or whoever, them don't know see how a bag of cement and steel and anything they cost money. So we just go and make myself comfortable in a little, you know.
He's been living in Shooters Hill for 18 years.
If the government have this whole heap of land and say a government land, me want somewhere to live while whole heap more people live, and we can buy 1 piece of land for $3 or $5 million if we go start one little 2-bedroom house, because it still go cost you money to buy the material. So if they even give with the squatters them the land, come cut it up and say, well, your land costs $1 million, or you know. And come give me time where, you're not going to say like how we pay mortgage and anything. They make we pay for the land said way.
He pointed to the average cost of a house in Harborview and Bull Bay in St. Andrew, which is also out of his means.
Cost on $10 million still, it's still rough in the princess. So if me can't buy it, me can't afford it neither, because it's a big money that when me never see the money from the day me born. So if me have the land, if them provide more, they can't trust me the land, I'm take time pay for the land. Me know out of my food money, how to save and buy 125 black until it reach 100 or it reach 500, because 500 black can't get a room. So me know how to balance my food money. Buy 125 black and pay the REDMAN. Buy 2 lengths of steel and so me see 2 bags of cement. We can't take time till we can build one big 10-story, you know, we can start off from 1 room if you have ambition.
But even with ambition, home ownership is still elusive to many Jamaicans.
The system set one way where nothing can happen for we.
Anthony Redman has been living in Riverton City for 43 years.
If we live like dog, if you look on the goal, if you look like everything, we're not ready yet. But it's just on a leash, and the only time we see them, And when voting time, we want some house, we want some infrastructure. We're tired to live this way.
A common feature of the houses, zinc and wood. Several of them are without bathrooms, and the makeshift kitchens are detached from the main structure. The cost of concrete blocks and steel too steep for these low-income earners who at times hustle at the nearby dump. On the day we visited the area, there was no electricity. In fact, there'd been no electricity for weeks, although we observed light in at least one house. The Jamaica Public Service in December 2020 reported that electricity theft in the area was at a high of 90%. It said the consumption pattern of non-paying users in Riverton is more than 100 times the average paying customer. In a community of more than 1,000 residents, there are only 160 legitimate paying customers. But the residents insist they want better for themselves.
I like to own my land. I love to pay my light bill most of anything else. So I can have things that when I'm going on the road now, I don't have to come and say X, Y, Z. And then now, most of the time, they don't have any printout. And you have to go up at JPS and do all of that. So I like to own my own things.
Data on how many Jamaicans own structures in informal settlements is limited, with the last housing and population census done in 2011. At the time, it was estimated that there were more than 800,000 dwellings in the country. Of that number, over 500,000 of a population of more than 2 million were legitimate owners, while close to 9,000 squatted. Sometimes the only hope for home ownership for persons in the lower spectrum of society is through international charity organization Food for the Poor.
Since about 1983, we have built over 36,000 houses across Jamaica. Right now, we build 30 houses per month across the island. And there were months that we would have built up to 100 houses. Of course, donations would have impacted this. But we continue to get over 100 applications for housing requests on a monthly basis.
We have gone to visit houses that are leaning on the side, houses that are made of pieces of zinc, pieces of board, pieces of plastic, just about any little thing that they can catch to use to make something that they can call a dwelling. It is there. We have seen houses with huge cracks. Some of the flooring board are falling out. You're afraid to step inside. You just can't, because especially with my weight stepping in there, it might just collapse. So we have seen numerous different places we have gone to. Persons living in chicken coop, very cramped spaces, where you have family of 12 maybe in one room, and this room is not really ideal with concrete. It's more the board or just about anything they can find they will use to make this. So the living arrangement is very poor.
The organization wants to help more people, but here's the problem.
The major challenge is land ownership, land acquisition. We ourselves here at Food for the Poor, when we get an applicant, so someone will say to you, I've applied to Food for the Poor for a house, but they do not have land, or they do not have the right for us to construct our unit on the land that they're living on. So that is the greatest challenge that I would say even Jamaicans in general will have a problem with, providing land, suitable land to have the construction, particularly for our Food for the Poor houses.
How do you see that affecting Food for the Poor and your mission going forward?
It affects us significantly because, unfortunately, poor people don't own land. When you think about a poor person,
which poor person really has property that they can say I can build a house on. So it impacts our ability to really help those in need. So which is why most of the times when you hear us out there, we're appealing to donors. If you're able to provide us with land, if we're able to get a partnership for someone to give us land across Jamaica, we will be able to go out there and build. So it impacts our ability to construct even more houses on an annual basis.
We went in search of a man who's been on the Food for the Poor waiting list for over 6 months. His name is CYRIL Barnett, known by many as Thomas.
So it's a bit of a walk for us to get to Thomas's house. I feel as if I'm in the middle of nowhere. But this is a community in Red Hills, Clarendon, and apparently it used to be populated, but because of the road situation and the fact that there is no light, a lot of persons have abandoned their homes and they've moved on. But Mr. Thomas is still here.
After walking for close to half an hour, we arrived in the spot which Thomas calls home. It's not your typical house. There are no windows, no doors, no rooms. We were told this wasn't always the case. It was once a 2-bedroom house, but now pieces of wood and zinc are being held up by sticks. For obvious reasons, Thomas spends most of his time on his farm. Oranges, plantain, pineapple, and ginger are just a few of the crops he cultivates.
All right, so Mr. Thomas has asked me to take a look inside.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to attempt to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Thomas, what's the instruction? Stay on my hands and stay on my knees and my hands.
Yes.
Let me see if we can do it.
Yeah, do you fat, me no know.
No, exactly.
Yes. Walk on your knee. Bend down. And you hurt your back. You can't go in there.
I can't make it.
Yes.
I don't know if my cameraman wants to take a try, but it looks a little low, and I think I'm just scared that I get stuck in between there.
You have to walk actually on your belly.
On my belly?
And stretch out your foot.
Stretch out my foot, like. Right.
Stretch out your foot, man, your back, man. Yes. Go on, same way. Same way. Go on, same way, so tell you catch in, man. Go on, same way, man.
Okay.
You're fast.
I don't think I can go any further, Glenn.
This house, he tells us, has been here for over 100 years. It's where his mother and grandmother also lived. He is 78 years old.
Me no feel no way, me hungry. I beg God, say Father God, beg you feel no drop down for me. No a serious thing. He say, Father God, me I beg you to tell me get a house, a good room. So tell me have everything. Me have all my trunk and suitcase and briefcase in there, you know, in a room in here so.
He didn't always have a hunchback, but as he entered the structure, we understood why. This is where Thomas sleeps at night and says he's gotten used to the discomfort.
So you sleep?
Yeah, man. One in a room there, one bed in a room, around 2 in a room.
So you have 2 beds in there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but you just sleep over here, so? Mm-hmm. And you keep your personal stuff right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, I don't want to mess up your bed, so let me come out.
But there wasn't much to see inside. Justice of the Peace Troy Levy has been collaborating with Food for the Poor to find suitable land to relocate Thomas, and after months of searching, progress.
Well, we have put together a team that will support him and his farm to help him and to get his produce transported to a safe place of dispensation, and also to have him looking at what he does. So the area that we have identified, he'll be able to do his farming. So some of the crops that he currently have here, we will transplant them to that new location.
What if he comes back here? Because he seems very much attached to this place.
I guess for the interim, he will always want to come back. But I guess over time, he will adapt to his new environment.